Welcome to Lords and Kings, and this is Wednesday's Wisdom. Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of Lords and Kings, where Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and you, ladies and gentlemen, you are Lords and Kings. That's right, you heard me. You are Lords and you are Kings. Well, on today's installment of Wednesday's Wisdom, I want to talk to you about an interesting topic. And this topic evolves around a question that was submitted to me by one of my children. And so the question is, if Jesus knew, and if God knew that Judas was going to betray Jesus, why did he create Judas? If God knew that Satan was going to deceive Adam and Eve, why did he create Satan? And to be honest with you, it's a question that I've had. It's a question that many of you may have had. And so what I want to do is I want to turn to the scripture to try to help us to understand the answer to that question. So let's turn over to Romans chapter 8, verse 29. That's Romans chapter 8, verse 29. Okay, Romans 8, 29. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. But I want to focus on the first part of that verse. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate. For whom he did foreknow, for whom he had foreknowledge of, he also predestined them, or also had a plan for them. Okay? So whom he did foreknow, he also had a plan for them. In this case, this plan was be conformed to the image of his Son. Now also in this case, who did God foreknow? Well, think about it. He foreknew all of us. And because he foreknew all of us were predestined to be conformed to the image of Christ. But at the end of the day, we're not all going to make that, we're not all going to make that destination, unfortunately. But back to the other instance, for example, Judas. Now, Judas, as we all know, betrayed Jesus, and Jesus was turned over to the Romans and later crucified, which was, after all, was to our advantage. That's the whole story. But therein is the point. See, God, with God's foreknowledge, with God being all-knowing and all-seeing, think about this. He is a wise God. I can't even think of the word to describe it, but he knows everything. He's the smartest, the wisest, the most intelligent. I mean, nothing surpasses him. No one surpasses him. So think about his plan. Now, let's bring free choice into this. Now, we as human beings have the privilege of free choice, freedom of choice. So we can choose. But I guess the question is your choice really free if God already knows what you're going to do and he already has a plan? It's almost as if he planned for you to make the choices that you make. But that's not the case. Okay? How I want you to see it is this way. You see, you have freedom of choice. I have freedom of choice. And so does the billions of other people on this planet that ever lived and that will live. They also have freedom of choice. Now, God is so wise and his plans are so intricate that what he does is he takes every decision that you and I will make and makes it a part of his plan. You understand? He orchestrates our decisions. He doesn't make us make the decisions, but when we make the decisions, he takes our decisions and incorporates them into his plan. So in other words, Judas always had the decision to not betray Jesus. Okay, that option was always there. And if he had taken that option, then God would have worked that option into his plan. See, Jesus had to be, as the scripture says, he's the lamb slain before the foundation of the world. He was slain from the beginning. That was a part of God's plan. That had to happen. So Judas's betraying of Jesus or not betraying of Jesus would not have stopped that, prevented that plan from coming to pass. But because God knew that Judas was going to make those decisions that he made, he incorporated those decisions into his plan. Think about the orchestration here. Think about the number of free wills on this planet, the number of decisions that we make. See, God sees them, and God has a plan. And his plans that he has for you are plans of peace and to bring you an expected end, okay? Ultimately, he wants all of us to be conformed to the image of his son. That's his end game. But unfortunately, because of our decision making, we will choose to reject his plan. And ultimately, that is the only sin that a person can go to hell for, rejecting the Son of God. So at the end of the day, your decisions, your plans, your ideas, it's your objective to get in line with him. At the end of the day, regardless of what we're going to do, his plans and his purposes will come to pass. Think about it. I want you to turn here. One more scripture. Turn over to Isaiah. Let's see here. Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 24. Isaiah 14:24. And I'm going to read this from the New International Version, from the NIV. So listen to this. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be. And as I have purposed, so it will happen. Listen, you cannot stop the plan of God. God's plan is unstoppable. It will come to pass. But it's up to you and I to get involved properly with his plans. It's up to you and I to turn to him for his wisdom to become a good integral part of his plan. This is Lord Ken with another installment of Wednesday's Wisdom. Like, subscribe, share. And I just want to leave with you peace, love, and God's plan.
God's plan. God's plan. I hold back sometimes.